Deuteronomy 6:4. Hear, O Israel, Yahweh, our God, is one Lord. All praises to the Most High, Yahweh only.
Shalom, Barakatah. This is High Priest Kalhalal of the Law, also known as Kalvon Israel, back with another video lesson, giving all praises, honor, power, glory, dominion, majesty, reverence, blessings, worship, love, and admiration to the Most High, Yahweh, and Yahweh only. Double honors, triple honors to Yahweh and Yahweh only. No Bahashim. Understand that? Alright? Now, the title of today's video lesson is High Priest Kalhalal Burns the New Testament. And I'm your High Priest Kalhalal, and I'm here to burn up the New Testament and expose the New Testament for the replacement theology, plagiarism, and typology that it is. Yes, the New Testament was created by our arch enemies, the Edomite Romans, to deceive the children of Israel into idolatry with replacement theology. All right? And you must know that. You must know that this awakening is grand, it's bigger than just seeing the little things in the New Testament like JC is of color. Right? That's not what you were missing. That wasn't the key to your salvation. Nowhere in the Holy Bible that includes two books in one, the so-called Old Testament and the so-called New Testament. Nowhere in the Holy Bible does it say, in order for you to have salvation, you must know that JC is a Negro. Nowhere. That is not required for you to have salvation. Nowhere in the Holy Bible does it say, in order for you to have salvation, and in order for JC to hear you and to save you, you must call on his name in Hebrew. It doesn't say that nowhere. Neither does the Most High God tell you that in the so-called Old Testament. But what the Most High God does tell you in the so-called Old Testament is that in order for you to have salvation, you must return to him and him alone. Yeah, that's what it says. In order for you to have salvation, you must serve him and keep all of his commandments. That's what it does tell you. That's the key to our salvation. This awakening of us awakening to the true knowledge of us being the Hebrew Israelites is bigger. Okay? When you find out that you are a Hebrew Israelite, you have to do your due diligence. That should spark your zeal to seek the Most High God 10 times more. And to find out what's required of the Israelites, to study the Hebrew culture, study the Hebrew language, get involved. Study the Israelites' traditions. Get involved. Research what went wrong. And find what is required of the Israelites. What is required of you, right? And what is required of the Israelites is that we serve the Most High God, Yahweh, alone. And that is not hidden from you. Not in the scriptures. It's all over the scriptures. It's so much in your face that even the heathen can see it. And they saw it. So they wrote the New Testament to keep you away from it. That's why this New Testament tells you that the so-called Old Testament, which is the Hebrew Bible, the Torah, is done away with. So that you will not receive salvation and you will not return to your one and only true power. And that's the Most High God, Yahweh. Now we're going to jump right off into this video lesson, okay? Because a lot of Israel have short attention spans. Yeah, and I see that. And they express that to me as well. Right? So I just want our people to know that this New Testament is not of our people. It's originally written in Greek. And the Greeks and the Romans are the arch enemies of Israel. This New Testament is deception. It's wickedness. It's the book of witchcraft. And it has some polite witchcraft. Very deceitful euphemisms. Luring you in with sugar and cinnamon. Right? Luring you in for the slaughter. This New Testament has destroyed billions of souls, even the souls of the Gentiles. And we're going to be proving that. We're going to be proving just how much this book is an abomination to the Most High God. It's a mockery on the Most High God. It's subliminal blasphemy on the Most High God. And it's trying to keep you away from the laws of the Most High God. It's lying on the Most High God. This is a book of lies. The so-called Old Testament, the Hebrew Bible, that was originally written in Hebrew by the Hebrews, for the Hebrews, from the Hebrew God to the Hebrew people, right? It's the book of prophecy, but the New Testament is the book of lies. The book of lies is lying to you, okay? And let's prove that right now. We're here at Romans chapter 13, verse 1. Let every soul be subject unto the higher powers, for there is no power but of God. The powers that be are ordained of God. Whosoever therefore resisteth the power, resisteth the ordinance of God. The ordinance means laws. The ordinance of God. And they that resist shall receive to themselves damnation. Okay, so here, Romans chapter 13, is Paul telling the Israelites to be in subjection to the higher powers, to those that conquered them, like the Romans, right? To the Roman government. We're here in Romans. It's called Romans. All right? Peep that. Right? So, yeah. Paul is telling the Israelites to be in subjection and in submission and in obedience to the Romans. Let every soul be subject unto the higher powers, for there is no power but of God. So he's saying that God appointed the Romans over you. So don't fight that. Don't resist that. The powers that be are ordained of God. Verse 2. Whosoever therefore resists the power, resists the ordinance of God. And they that resist shall receive to themselves damnation. Okay. Now, that's Paul establishing the law, the Romans law. He's establishing the laws of the Romans and making sure you understand it very well. Okay, but over here in Ephesians chapter 2, verse 13, it says, but now in JC, ye, whom sometimes were far off, are made nigh by the blood of Christ. For he is our peace, who has made both one and has broken down the middle wall of partition between us, having abolished in his flesh the enmity, even the law of commandments. So that's commandments, plural. So he abolished all the commandments. That's plural. Some Israelites would like to deceive you, with their own twistment, right? Because, Jake would like to say, I know it says that, but it doesn't mean that. So they got a new twistment, false doctrine. He want to deceive you with his own ideology, right? Instead of just reading it for what it says and taking it for what it is. It's not that much of a hard pill to swallow, right? You don't need this book. You don't need this book for nothing. Having this book attached to you is death to you. So he said it right here. JC, having abolished in his flesh the enmity, even the law of commandments contained in ordinances. In the laws. Commandments, plural. Ordinances, plural. Ordinances means laws. They are abolished. The commandments, the laws of God. JC abolished them for to make in himself a twain, one new man, so making peace. So what is that? What is it to that you don't believe? What in there you don't believe if you're reading it? I mean, I believe he said it. I believe he meant it in his heart. I believe that he meant for you to understand it for how it's written, for how he wrote it. right? I believe he expects for you to comprehend what you read, for you to have good comprehension skills. Well, why are you not getting it? I know it says that, but it doesn't mean that, Unc. What do it mean if it don't mean what it says? The laws are done away with. But here's the big question. Why would God abolish his own laws, but establish the Romans' laws? Right? So God abolished his own laws for a law of liberty? For a spirit of liberty? But didn't abolish the Romans' laws for a spirit of liberty. And why is that? It says right here, let every soul be subject unto the higher powers, for there is no power but of God. The powers that be are ordained of God. Now that's a problem, because in the so-called Old Testament, we don't hear anyone saying anything like that. That just because you go into captivity and just because another nation has rulership in the earth, that we should abolish the laws of God. Whosoever therefore resists the powers resists the ordinance of God. And they that resist shall receive to themselves damnation. For rulers are not a terror to good works, but to the evil. Will thou then not be afraid of the power? Telling you and teaching you to be afraid and to fear the Romans, not to fear God and keep his laws. No, it just says that the laws of God are abolished by JC. The commandments are abolished. And he made it real clear for you to understand that. And he says it in his writings that he used great plainness of speech. It's you, man. It's you. You twisted, deceived in the head Christianites with your New Testament ideology, twisting things in your own mind, making your own mind warped and perverted, when you could just receive this for how it's written and reject it. That's all you gotta do. Take it for what it is, comprehend what you read, take it for what it is, and then reject it. Right? Okay? It's deception, man. For rulers are not a terror to good works. What do he mean? If by the story that we have been told, right, all the Romans killed the apostles. I mean, we can't read about that in the New Testament, because the New Testament was written by the Romans and they are trying to make themselves seem like the good guys. All we read about in the New Testament is that the Jews are the bad guys trying to stop the divine plan of God from going forth, with JC replacing the Most High God, Yahweh. But, these other Christianity stories that you guys adopt, like Paul being beheaded, Peter being hung upside down, Thomas, he's being boiled in a pot or some crazy madness like that, and they all died gruesome deaths, and they all were persecuted by the Romans. But here in Romans 13 verse 3, he's saying that the Romans are not a terror to good works. For rulers are not a terror to good works, but to the evil. So if the Romans were persecuting the Christians, then that means that, according to Paul's words, what they were pushing was evil. Okay. For he is the minister of God to you for good. So the ruling government, and at this time was the Romans, and the Romans are who he's speaking of. He's saying that they are the ministers of God to you for good. But if thou do that which is evil, be afraid. Yeah, fear the Roman government, for he beareth not the sword in vain. For he is the minister of God, a revenger, to execute wrath upon him that does evil. Wow. Wherefore ye must needs be subject, not only for wrath, but also for conscience sake. For this cause pay you tribute also. They got to throw that in there. They got to get their money on, man. And that's what it's all for. Taking over the priesthood. The profitable priesthood. The Romans want to end on that, because the Hebrew Israelites in ancient times, around the 1st century, they had pretty much all of the neighbor countries and pretty much the whole known world following Torah and paying tithes to the priesthood. The original priesthood of Israel, and even some Romans. So they had to overthrow it. But they couldn't overthrow it with statue idols and all the way with the force of the sword, because they understood that we went by a book, the Hebrew Bible. So they had to create a book to override our book, to deceive the people, to get the tribute money. For this, pay ye tribute also, for they are God's ministers. Right? So you pay tithes to the priests, the Levite priests. Now he's saying pay tithes to the Pope, the Roman Catholic Church. He's saying that they are the ministers of God now, because they conquered you. Right? And that's just the basic common thought and mindset of a basic man. Just the average man thinks like that. Whoever is in rulership are the chosen people of God. And God is just switching up his chosen people. But us men of understanding and high knowledge, we know better. Right? For they are God's ministers, attending continually upon this very thing. Ooh, wait. He's speaking so highly of the Romans as an Israelite. Wow. Right? But we see in Daniel 3, I believe, you read the whole chapter, that the 3 Hebrew boys were rewarded. They were rewarded for disobeying the known government at that time, which was ancient Babylon. Right? Render therefore to all their dues tribute, to whom tribute is due. Ooh, render therefore to all their dues. Whoa. All their dues. So if they want you to worship their fictional character, invisible idol, JC, render therefore to all their dues tribute, to whom tribute is due. Custom, to whom custom. So follow the custom of the Romans. You know, like Halloween, Christmas, Valentine's Day, New Year's, and all of that stuff, right? Custom, to whom custom. Fear, to whom fear. Fear them. Honor, to whom honor. Honor them. Yeah. Make them your God, basically. Like, wow. That is crazy. Right? But Yahweh, he says differently. Yahweh says the Levites are his ministers. And that's forever. Let's get that. Forever. Let's get Jeremiah 33 and 20. Jeremiah 33, verse 20. Thus says Yahweh, if ye can break my covenant of the day and my covenant of the night, and that there should not be day and night in their season, then may also my covenant be broken with David my servant, that he should not have a son to reign upon his throne, and with the Levites, the priests, my ministers. So he already gave you the criterias, right? If you want to change the priesthood, if you want to change his chosen people, if you want to change his ministers from being the Levites, then this is what you have to do, right? You have to break his covenant with day and night. That there should not be day and night in their season, right? So make it be night for 24 hours. Make it be sunlight for 24 hours. And then I guess it'll be broken then if you can do that. But we haven't seen that. Right? Day and night are in their season. They come at their appointed time. It's about to be nighttime around 8 o'clock today, just like it was yesterday. Ain't no one changing that. Night is definitely gonna come. And the morning light is definitely gonna come after that. And it's gonna keep coming, and it's gonna keep doing that. So the Levites are going to stay his ministers. You can't change that. And that's law as well. Let's go into the law and get that. So what is Paul talking about here? right? Well, he's practicing replacement theology, hoping that he can fool some. He's only going to fool the fools, right? But he knows that there's a lot of fools. So he's happy with that. Exodus chapter 28, verse 40. And for Aaron's sons thou shalt make coats, and thou shalt make for them girdles, and bonnets shalt thou make for them, for glory and for beauty. And thou shalt put them upon Aaron thy brother and his sons with him, and shalt anoint them, and consecrate them, and sanctify them, that they may minister unto me in the priest's office. And thou shalt make them linen breeches to cover their nakedness, from the loins even unto the thighs they shall reach. And they shall be upon Aaron and upon his sons when they come in unto the tabernacle of the congregation, or when they come near unto the altar to minister in the holy place, that they bear not iniquity and die. It shall be a statute forever. A statute forever. Forever unto him and his seed after him. And his seed after him. Forever. So, minister in the holy place forever. And his seed after him forever. So, the Levites are forever the ministers of God. That's forever. I don't see any exceptions to the rule, except for in captivity. No, I don't see that. You find that, because I'm telling you, it's not there. Let's go grab it again in the law. Let's go to Exodus 29. Let's go to verse 9. And thou shalt gird them with girdles, Aaron and his sons, and put the bonnet on them, and the priest's office shall be theirs for a perpetual statute. And thou shalt consecrate Aaron and his sons. Perpetual. It means everlasting. Right? Continuing. Non-stop. Okay. And let's go over here in the same chapter. Let's go to 33. Exodus 29, verse 33. And they shall eat those things wherewith the atonement was made, to consecrate and to sanctify them, but a stranger shall not eat thereof, because they are holy. So the strangers are not holy like the Levites. So they can't eat the sacrifices of the Most High God. So how can the Romans be the ministers of God when the Romans are strangers and they can't eat the sacrifices of God? So we can't pay them tribute. they can't eat the sacrifices of God. They are holy. Understand that. Right? So moving on. Let's go to 2 Corinthians chapter 3. We start at verse 3. 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 3. For as much as ye are manifestly declared to be the epistle of Christ, ministered by us, written not with ink, but with the Spirit of the living God, not in tables of stone, but in fleshly tables of the heart. So you know the tables of stone, they are the Ark of the Covenant, right? Right, yeah, the commandments. That's the tables of stone. And such trust have we through Christ to God word, toward God. Okay. Not that we are sufficient of ourselves to think anything as of ourselves, but our sufficiency is of God, who also has made us able ministers of the New Testament, not of the letter. They're not ministers of the letter. So they're coming with their own doctrine. They're not teaching the so-called Old Testament. They're not teaching the commandments, the Torah, which is the letter. They're not. That's what he's telling you. So how are these dumbass Greek Israelites out here in these stupid camps telling you that it's all one book and that it all flows together and it's all in one peaceful harmony together, the so-called old and so-called new, when the so-called New Testament is telling you that they don't teach the letter? They don't. He says it right here. I'm not saying it. He's saying it. I'm just reading it and comprehending what I read. Who also has made us able ministers of the New Testament. So he magnifies the New Testament, man. He singles it out. Not of the letter. He singles out the Old Testament. The letter. Right? Written with tables of stone. He just told you that, man. He's not with the covenant that was made on Mount Sinai between God and the Israelites, but of the Spirit. For the letter killeth, but the Spirit giveth life. So he disses the commandments, the Torah. He says it kills. Right? So he's not going off of what's written. Oh, they teach the Torah all in the New Testament. They didn't have the New Testament back then. They were teaching Torah. Bruh. They went off of the spirit, their own evil, wicked, twisted spirit. They just came up with it out of their own minds. That's what he's telling you. They're teaching you from out their own mind. They ain't teaching that. They said, for the letter killeth. They not teaching the Torah. They teaching out of their own mind. But the Spirit giveth life. Their own false doctrine. It's right here, man. Look, there she go. But if the ministration of death, whoa, the ministration of death, the Torah is the ministration of death, written and engraven in stones. Do you know what was written and engraven in stones? Oh, you don't know? Whoa. Okay. We're going to show you what was written and engraven in stones. But if the ministration of death, written and engraven in stones, was glorious, so that the children of Israel could not steadfastly behold the face of Moses, for the glory of his countenance, which glory was to be done away. Ooh. Done away. I don't know why Christianity, the Christian church, teach that the Old Testament is done away with. They going off. It says it right here in the New Testament, dummy. That is done away. You see that right there? It's right there, man. Done away. Behold, the face of Moses, for the glory of his countenance, which glory was to be done away. Done away, man. See, I ain't arguing with no dumbass nigga that can't read. And I ain't debating no stupid ass nigga that can't comprehend what he read. It's right there, man. There she go. Say hi. How shall not the ministration of the Spirit be rather glorious? For if the ministration of condemnation be glory, much more does the ministration of righteousness exceed in glory. It's two items here, man. It's two items that he's talking about, man. It's clear, man. It's the Torah, and then there's the New Testament, man. One he's condemning, saying is the ministration of condemnation, the ministration of death. The other one he is saying is being much more glorious. One he is saying is wicked. One he is saying is righteous. It's not hard to understand. Ain't nobody making it up. We're reading it. Y'all just can't comprehend what you read. Because the spirit of Lucifer got you bent over, doing you something bad right about now. For even that which was made glorious had no glory in this respect by reason of the glory that excelleth. Dang. That's a diss record right there, boy. That's like, that's a diss record right there, man. That's more colder than Ice Cube dissing NWA, no Vaseline. Oh, wait, that's more colder than Eazy-E dissing Dr. Dre with real Compton City G's. Oh, wait. Yeah, that's a hard diss record right there. Paul dissed the Torah, dissed Moses, dissed the Most High God. For if that which is done away, which is done away. He's only talking about the Torah and the New Testament, giving glory to the New Testament and condemning the Torah. So in context, What is he saying that is done away? The Torah. What was written on tables of stone? The Torah, dummy. You're talking about the Torah, man. The Torah. You see, it's right there. Where did you see in the New Testament that the Old Testament is done away? It's right there, man. For if that which is done away, the Christian church didn't make it up, man. The New Testament is Christianity. And these One West camps and these One West spinoff camps, they are Hebrewanity. GMS, Hebrewanity. IUIC, Hebrewanity. WFI, Hebrewanity. HOI, Hebrewanity, man. It's all Hebrewanity. Sakari, Hebrewanity. Genesis, Hebrewanity. Why would you call your camp Genesis, man? Huh? The deacon. Why would you call your camp Genesis when back in Genesis, they didn't know nothing about a JC. They didn't hear nothing about no idol shy. None of that back in Genesis time. They knew one God, the Almighty Yahweh. That's it. Back in Genesis. You should call your camp Peter and have a big P on your chest. Peter Israelites. That's what y'all are, man. Believing in this abominable New Testament. Now let's go and just debunk what he said right here, and just go and confirm that he is dissing the Torah. Let's go to Exodus 24 and 12. And Yahweh said unto Moses, come up to me in the mount and be there, and I will give thee tables of stone and a law and commandments which I have written, that thou mayest teach them, the Israelites, the tables of stone. Right? Let's go back to 2 Corinthians chapter 3. As you know, what is he talking about? 2 Corinthians chapter 3 verse 3. For as much as ye are manifestly declared to be the epistles of Christ, ministered by us, written not with ink, but with the Spirit of the living God, not in tables of stone, not in tables of stone, but in fleshly tables of the heart. Right? There you go. Verse 7, 2 Corinthians chapter 3. But if the ministration of death, written and engraven in stones, was glorious, so that the children of Israel could not steadfastly behold the face of Moses for the glory of his countenance, which glory was to be done away. This is what he's talking about right here, man. The Ark of the Covenant that was given to Moses. Right here. In Exodus 24, verse 12. And Yahweh said unto Moses, come up to me into the mount and be there, and I will give thee tables of stone and a law and commandments which I have written, that thou mayest teach them. This is that the Most High God has written, man. Engraven in tables of stone. Right? Let's go here. Paul said engraven. Who engraved it? Well, let's go and see. Engraven in stone. Who exactly is he dissing here? Mainly Exodus 31 verse 18. And he gave unto Moses, when he had made an end of communing with him upon Mount Sinai, 2 tables of testimony, tables of stone, written with the finger of God. So God engraved it with his finger. Right? So there you have it. Second Corinthians chapter 3 verse 7. But if the ministration of death written and engraven in stones, so he called what was given to us by God, written with God's own finger, the ministration of death. So God gave us a ministration of death, a doctrine of death, the commandments. It's right here, you dummy, you big dummy. And you gonna follow something like that? You gonna accept something like that? This is the New Testament. He just told you. This is the New Testament. Yeah. This right here, this blasphemy is what the New Testament is about. You can't just detach the letters of Paul from the gospel. The gospels is blasphemy too. It's just more hidden. But we brought that out on this channel. And in this ministry of YOZ, Yahweh Only Zealous. Man, because we are zealous for the face of the Most High God. We are zealous for the righteousness of the Most High God. We are zealous for the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High God. Yeah, that's right, man. Understand that. Right? The gospel is not the covenant that the Most High God made with the Israelites. Paul is saying that the Most High God gave us a doctrine of death. Right? So, how do Christianites say that the Holy Bible, aka the Christian Bible, is one book when the New Testament says that the Old Testament is death and is done away with? I know it says that, but it doesn't mean that, Come on now, man. Now let's go. Let's go over here in the same chapter, right? Because it just keeps on. It just keeps on with the blasphemy, man. I mean, right there, man, it don't really get no worse than that, so I can't say it get worse. But it just keeps up the worst. You know what I'm saying? It just keeps on with the blasphemy. This is like high level, top level blasphemy. It's very sickening and reprehensible, man. It's very repulsive.